Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Gentleman's Ladder match 1v1 with GoogleFrog and McElDowney. This time we are playing on the Australian server, so there might be a little bit more lag from the spectator end. Hopefully not too much. We have McElDowney in the green and purple once again near the North Pole. Control N. Looks like he has decent clusters of metal expansions surrounding his base, and no really extremely heavy clusters except over here in between the north and south poles on his western flank. There's some nice clusters over by his eastern flank as well. Coming over to GoogleFrog, and it looks like his clusters are more towards the south. And that's pretty much his biggest metal choices. Looks like McElDowney has got a better spawn here. Going into the openings, we have a bot facility coming out of GoogleFrog with constant bot fabrication vehicles being produced. Looks like he went into 3 metal before starting that bot factory. Whereas we come over to McElDowney's, it looks like he went 4 metal before throwing down that bot factory, maybe 5. And McElDowney's coming out with an early scamper to try to do some harassment, but is he going to run to the right location? Semi-early scamper also coming out for GoogleFrog, but it looks like both players are just headed out in the completely wrong directions at the moment. So even though this could have been a fabrication vehicle, since both players decided to open up with that early scamper, they're both on even footing if GoogleFrog is able to come in here and scout McElDowney while McElDowney's scamper runs off in the completely wrong direction. That would be a nice pickup for old GoogleFrog. Let's see if GoogleFrog belongs to any clans. Looks like GoogleFrog is definitely going to run into old McElDowney. Might be able to pick up some fabrication bot kills. It's going to depend on his multitasking in micro if he notices this. And GoogleFrog is now aware of McElDowney's location. McElDowney's scamper is coming back home. GoogleFrog went to a location of metal to try to harass some fabrication vehicles, but none are there currently. Instead of having the fabricators work together, GoogleFrog is having them work separately. Whereas McElDowney is having his work together. He's bringing them in the opposite direction that the scamper has run off to. McEldowney definitely has a stronger starting location on this random generated scale 2 moon we got here. GoogleFrog needs to come out to his 6 o'clock and get these highly dense metal locations. Looks like we have an air factory followed up by a vehicle factory for GoogleFrog. And air factory followed by 2 vehicle factories for McEldowney. The scamper's finally coming around to harass some of this metal. McEldowney is getting a nice scout off, as is GoogleFrog. GoogleFrog's scout gets shot down. And we have a tank coming out here to greet GoogleFrog's bot, along with another bot from McEldowney, which barely survives. A little bit of harassment from a scout. Currently working on expansions. We have just looks like 2 bots are working on expansions for GoogleFrog. Whereas McEldowney has 8 fabricators working on expansions for himself. So I believe very shortly McEldowney is going to take the economic lead in this game. GoogleFrog trying to create a front in between the 2 bases, be kind of safe with these turrets, working with units to come around on the flank. Looks like McEldowney's scouting or sixth sense is paying off here, and he's moving units out to intercept while continuing to expand out to his eastern flank. Make sure I'm not missing any kind of hidden expansions anywhere from either of the players. Doesn't look like it. McEldowney sees the harassment coming in from GoogleFrog. Oh, hadn't noticed it yet. There he notices. Nope. They're just following their cue and staying alive. Looks like GoogleFrog is starting to trickle his forces in. While McEldowney is continuing to build closer to the front lines. McEldowney's forces are currently located on the wrong front. Let's see if GoogleFrog can get any damage done with this initial attack, and I think damage is going to be extremely important to be dealt. or else he's gonna find himself in trouble falling behind in the expansions. So far he's only been able to take out a single or two ants. And he's falling back to his defensive line while throwing up a pelter to try to do some damage from distance. Looks like McEldowney definitely has the superior numbers, but he's not all co-located in one spot, how GoogleFrog is gonna slowly be assimilated into one location for an assault, which is gonna allow him to defend this pelter that's going up. And we do have a radar that's going to be able to spot these units and facilities for the pelter. And the pelter is complete. It's beginning to assault on McEldowney's base. McEldowney is starting a wall and a pelter up. And GoogleFrog is coming in with an assault to the front. It's able to take down a single factory. The pelter is working on another factory. McEldowney's pulling back to try to react to this. If GoogleFrog can get this pelter down before it completes, that's going to be an excellent pickup by GoogleFrog. GoogleFrog moving forward. His ants are taking down the factories. The pelter's done. And gets destroyed instantly by these ants. What an excellent pickup by GoogleFrog. GoogleFrog is now starting to win the war on the front. The pelter's just continuing to do damage to the vehicle factories. We've got a flank attack coming from GoogleFrog on the western flank. With these turrets, GoogleFrog is going to be able to fall back and just wreak havoc on this army. The army's coming in here single file. GoogleFrog is just getting an excellent army trade with this engagement at the front. And able to do damage with the assault to the flank here. McEldowney's losing his unit producing structures, and even though he's got the superior income, he's losing the fight. What an excellent army exchange by GoogleFrog here at the front lines. That's forcing McEldowney to bring forward his commander to try to even up these trades. GoogleFrog's commander is still located at his base. Let's see what McEldowney can get done with his commander moving up here to the front lines. He's fallen back to stop this pelter advancement. GoogleFrog's noticed another pelter going up, trying to come forward to take out the pelter, but the pelter finishes. GoogleFrog inching forward with this defensive line while continuing to rally forces to the front and able to even up the game, getting these good army trades and taking out some of these unit producing structures. Has he added more fabrication vehicles to his expansion attempts? No, he has not. So slowly, as the course of the game goes on, McEldowney is just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, while GoogleFrog's going to stagnate in production here with his minimal attempts at expansion. So even though McEldowney has lost the front, he can just continue building back here to a 6 o'clock and just eventually just overwhelm his opponent and GoogleFrog with superior numbers. GoogleFrog continuing to inch forward with the pelters and the defense. McEldowney is able to repel the assault off on his western flank. Making sure that's the west side. Looks like McEldowney's starting to gather some forces over to GoogleFrog's western flank. He's starting to throw up some unit producing structures. McEldowney has fabrication vehicles coming up, maybe to build something in his 6 o'clock. GoogleFrog still has yet to take these huge clumps of metal out to his 6, just barely starting to work on them. Got some army exchanges going up at the front. GoogleFrog is forced to fall back. Looks like we have our second tier 2 on the way from GoogleFrog. I'm not currently seeing any tier 2 out of McEldowney yet. This pelter crawl is getting into McEldowney's energy lines currently. Looks like we're about to have a nice exchange. McEldowney once again building bot factories at his enemy's 6 o'clock to try to tear down some of his expansions. He's also being forced to build pelters near his energy to try to make this pelter crawl stop. His ants are getting stuck on this destroyed facility, and GoogleFrog making just a determined push at the front. McEldowney's coming to catch it. He's not falling back. He's coming forward. He's not kiting this army. Just getting horrible trades. GoogleFrog taking the initiative here. He's going to be able to do tons of damage. If he can kite this army right here and just be able to pick off these reinforcements, he can just sweep through all this metal on the western flank. He might even be able to overpower him. Let's see what he decides to do. Is he going to kite, or is he going to go in for the attack? He's going in for the attack. McEldowney forced to bring his commander up front. With a recent buff to ants, I don't think that this is a wise decision. Here we go. The fabricators are coming out to repair the commander. And with this hefty repair from a bunch of fabrication vehicles, looks like GoogleFrog is forced to back out. He's going to run into a army over here coming in to reinforce GoogleFrog. Is he going to fight lateral, or is he going to come in? He's coming in. It looks like the commander is going to be able to get some nice kills. The fabrication vehicles have quit repairing the commander. Down to about 75% health. Down to almost 50. McEldowney trying to move the commander back towards the fabrication vehicles. Moves it back just in the nick of time. The commander's at 40% health. He's moved the fabricators too far forward. He's losing some of the fabricators. Down to 30% health, 20% health, 10% health. McEldowney's forced to run backwards with the commander. He's down just to like 5% health. A couple more shots and the commander's going to die. And Google takes the game! Good game from GoogleFrog. McEldowney's requesting a rematch. Good game, well played, guys. Thanks for watching. Come back and see a rematch or future videos from us here at Icon Gaming. Thanks for watching.